Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a what sold video, and it's for all of my not live selling platforms, which for this week, April 1st to April 7th, is going to be Etsy and eBay. That's it. So we're going to start with my lowest performing platform first, and let's go ahead and get started. So the first Etsy sale I have to share with you is this vintage Eagle piece. It is just a long sleeve polo. I picked this up at the Air Force retirees house, where I basically bought most of the stuff in this man's closets because he had every closet packed full. If you're new here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I spent a couple $100s on an estate sale and brought home so many clothes, and I will link that video up above. But this is from that. I paid less than $1 per item, so better than Ben's pricing, and yeah, this sold for $15. I think almost everything is listed from that estate sale, but I can't be 100% sure. But you know, I made a ridiculous amount of money off of that estate sale, and I'm very grateful. Also, Miss Moxie is down here, as you guys can see with her little face. Come here. Do your little face. She's down here like normal. This is Moxie. She is my fur baby. I also have 2 dogs with my partner, and he has his own cat, which I do not claim because she is pure evil. So this next item is an Art Deco ashtray. I say this before, while big tobacco is definitely declined, Mary Jane is on the rise, and so these vintage ashtrays still have quite the market for them, and this sold for $10 on Etsy. And of course the buyer paid for shipping on both of these because my Etsy store is set up where if you pay $35, then it's free shipping, and I price accordingly. And a lot of my stuff is not priced at $35, so they'd have to buy several items in order to hit that mark, which I really like. So both of those are awesome for sales. Here is a more of a close-up of Miss Moxie. If I don't move her, I will boot her with my butt because I have assets, not a front set. Another thing I like to say. So let's go with eBay. So this is a pair of 90s Y2K swishy pants. They have little cargo pockets on the side. I actually picked these up at the bin, and this was a project that turned into really nice profits. I paid probably $1 for these at the bins. And when I say that it's a project, it's because these were very haphazardly hemmed, despite the fact that they were convertible pants. So convertible pants are ones that unzip. Was very big in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And when I saw these at the bins, I was like, ooh, convertible pants. And I was like, ooh, it's a known brand at Old Navy. Ooh, they're cargo pants. And I was like, ooh, they're hemmed. All right, let me look at this a little bit more. Oh, okay, this just requires a seam ripper and some pulling, and I'll be good. And they were. They didn't have any issues. So I'm grateful to whoever hemmed them that they didn't ruin the pants. So these sold on an offer of $12, and of course the buyer paid for shipping because they were under £1, so this is great. This next item is a viewer sale. I also found this at the bin, so I paid 50 cents for it. I love selling vintage and antique books, and I will rescue any that I can find at the bins because I get them for really cheap, and I don't mind listing them because it's normally really fast listing, and it's a quick, easy way to like 4 times, 5 times or more my money. And Alicia bought this from me for $3.90. It's an offer I sent to her, and she's like, I saw it in your video and I immediately had to buy it. So I hope you love it. This was a hardcover kids book about the Transformers in like the most vibrant neon 80s colors possible. So I was really happy to be able to save that from getting tossed in the landfill, because that's where things would go. That's where things go if they don't at the bins. Like, at least that's where books go if they don't get sold, is they get thrown in the trash. So Alicia, thank you very much for saving a beautiful vintage children's book from the garbage. Okay, this book is also a viewer sale. Another thing I rescued from the bins. I thought about keeping this one because I'm reaching that stage in my life in which I'm getting really into plants and animals. So Barbara, however, scooped this up again when I showed it in a video for my full asking price of $3.87, because she also lives in Virginia. So Barbara, thank you very much. I hope that this has increased your bird knowledge. I definitely wish that we could feed the birds more. We used to have a really cute little bird feeder at my partner's house. However, the deer found it. And so they can go through an entire 25 pound bag of birdseed in one night. So yeah. Till we can figure out a way to feed the birds without also feeding literally everything else, that's going to be on pause. But Barbara, thank you very much for again saving a book from the landfill. I also think that this is a viewer sale, but I'm not 100% sure. So Katarina, thank you very much. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name. But she bought this Coffee Cakes and Quick Breads from me by Rennie Darling. I can't believe I tried really hard to pronounce your name and can't pronounce Rennie. Rennie Darling. I actually thought about doing one of these for Thrifted Treats because I am very far due to doing one of those. But this sold super fast. So Katarina, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I did not butcher your name. She bought this for my full asking price of $4.87, and this is again something I rescued from the bin, so I only paid 25 cents for it. This is Rain Spooner. I love finding Ray Spooner. It's a rare treat for me. It is probably one of the best brands to find in Hawaiian shirts this time of year. The more wild the print, or if it is a partnership with a a license thing, like I think they did some stuff with the NFL. I think they've done some stuff with like local landmarks. I know my friend Matt just put out a video about selling Hawaiian shirts, which Rain Spooner is what they're known for. I will link his video up above so that way you guys can watch it. I think he released it today. So I definitely would give that a watch. But I always get excited whenever I find this brand. It is one of the few vintage brands that also can do very well and has a consistent sell-through, especially in the Hawaiian shirts this time of year. Sold for $25, and I paid $5 for this at a thrift store. This is a brand I do not recommend picking up currently. This is a Truck Fit. Truck Fit is Lil Wayne's brand, and it was super big in the 20-teens. Because of the fact that it was like, that is when he released it. I think he released it in 2012 or something, and it was like really popular. It's like a low-cost streetwear brand up until like 2017 when he just stopped caring about it. I don't know. He just stopped promoting it, and it stopped being a thing. So I don't know why he just decided he didn't like money and stopped promoting it, but it sold for my full asking price of $11.87. I paid $3 for this at a Goodwill. I bought this in like a tank top from Truck Fit at the same time just to see, because at $3 I figured I could at least 3x my money if I sold it for like around $9 to $12. So I'm glad that it sold, but you know, I might probably still pick it up at the bins. But again, I wouldn't necessarily pay up for it until Lil Wayne decides he wants to promote his brand again. This is a thank you to Donna, not because she bought this from me, it's because she provided these to me. This is a series by Michael J. Sullivan. I love selling books, as you guys have seen so far in this video. And she actually gave these to me for free. And neither of these hardcovers had their dust jackets, but they were both signed. So I still happily scooped those up from her. She was like, I'm never gonna get around to reading these, you can have them. They were a gift. And I was like, okay. Someone actually bought both of them from me for a total of $24.87. So to turn free 99 into, you know, over $20, it's really nice. This is an Anthropologie brand, Maeve. So this actually said Maeve by Anthropologie, so it was a more modern piece. I just really like the design on this. It's black and white. You can see I like black and white. I'm not opposed to color, but black and gray are my comfort colors. So this sold for $10, and I paid $5 for this at a thrift store. So would I pick this up again? Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm doubling my money and I'm saving stuff from the landfill, so I mean, this is a really easy listing for me. This is not something I would pick up again, but this was something that I did not pick out. This is something that came to me in a ThredUp t-shirt box, and I just listed everything I thought would sell, and this did take quite a while to sell, but it did eventually sell. This is Captain Finn, which is, you know, a fishing brand. And it sold for $7. So I think my buy cost in that ThredUp box was like $1.25 per shirt. So still good profit. This is a vintage refrigerator dish. If you do not know, this is what happened before plastic became inexpensive and prevalent in our society, is that if you wanted to put leftovers in the fridge, you would put it in glass containers and clear glass. These are one of the few clear glass pieces that will consistently still sell for me. And it sold for my full asking price of $17.87, and I paid, I believe, $2 for this at the yard sale for Thriftmas. So this is a great sale. I'm very picky about what clear glass I do pick out, but these refrigerator dishes, I will pick them up all day long. So in the 90s, like I think it was like the mid to late 90s, the 70s were in. Just like, you know, the 90s and the 70s are in now. The 70s were in the 90s. And so this is a play on the 70s, but it was a shirt from the 90s, and that can be a little confusing, but just letting you know. So this sold for $10, and this came from the big vintage buyout that I did at an estate sale. So this was basically pure profit. And by pure profit, I mean that I have already paid myself back for the $100 I spent on the clothes. So yeah, everything I make from this vintage sale, I have a double Z rack just full of stuff that I still need to list, and it's all profit if it sells. So this is a great sale. This is Dorothy Thorpe. I rarely find Dorothy Thorpe in my area. This was a signed piece from her. This, once I corrected the title, sold. I had erroneously put charger plate in the original title when I listed this, not realizing that a charger plate is just a fancy pretty plate that you put underneath a regular dinner plate. I don't know why I conflated the two between that and just a serving platter, but I did. So this sold for $19.90, and the buyer paid $15 for shipping. I paid $6 for this, and I got really excited when I found this piece, because this is the first piece of Dorothy Thorpe I found that wasn't severely dishwasher faded. So really happy about this. This was a free to me item that I have Carolyn and Ernie to thank for. Carolyn and Ernie went through their closets because they were making a big move, and they gave me bags of stuff, and I went through and listed some of it. And this express romper, even though it's extra small, sold for $5. So it's free to me, and I made a nice little profit off of that for just a little bit of time manhandling Karen. So I appreciate you, Carolyn and Ernie, and thank you very much. This is from that estate sale that I got kicked out of. I paid probably like $2 or $3 for this shirt. This is from the 90s. The brand doesn't matter. I picked this out of that estate sale because the pattern was just amazing, and it sold for $15 like within 48 hours of me listing it. So this was a great sale. Sold for $15, and again paid like $2 to $3 for it. So this is a shirt that I picked up at an estate sale, but not the vintage buyout estate sale. I picked this up at an estate sale where the person was a heavy smoker, and I only pulled stuff out of there that had a high natural fiber content, because it's a lot easier to get smells out of natural fibers than it is to get them out of synthetic fibers. Otherwise I would have bought way more clothes, but I did not feel confident in getting like 50 years of nicotine out of them. But I was able to get out of this because this was a poly cotton blend, and it was so cute. It was a beautiful like light yellow color, and it had these like big orange flowers. It was a gorgeous 70s piece, and I'm really glad somebody purchased it. You can see I modeled it for this one. Sold for $19.90, and the buyer paid $4 for shipping, because it was like diaphanous. It was like a thin, lightweight, semi-sheer shirt, something that you would have worn a slip underneath of and like a skirt, or you would have just let your bra show. Oh well. I just thought it was super cute, and I paid again 50 cents for it. This next piece is both a brand and a fabric I love. I love picking up Tahari linen. It sells very quickly for me in these warmer months, like pretty much starting in March. It starts moving for me really quickly. I don't get a whole lot for it, normally between $12 and like $25 depending on the piece, and this one sold my full asking price of $21.87, and that's because this is one of it's a larger size, and also it was an oversized piece. So this is a log and look piece, which is supposed to be loose and flowy, and then of course it was in my favorite color, gray. So gray and green are my two favorite colors. So this was a great sale. I paid $5 for this at a thrift store. So the next item is free to me. I have my partner's landlord, Tommy, to thank for this. He allowed me to pick a hoarder house for free. And then also he had set aside a bunch of stuff that he was gonna sell, or that he thought his wife might want, and then she ended up not wanting any of it. So instead of like throwing it in the dumpster where it was gonna go. He was like, here are boxes, pick what you want out of it, and it's free. He's an amazing man. He's probably one of the nicest men and most down-to-earth people I've ever met. He's just a great guy. And so these were completely free, and it's sold for $19.90, and the buyer paid $15 for shipping, so 100% profit. And I got to save some antique pieces from going in the dumpster, which I'm very happy about. Again, the 70s are in. I do pick up vintage brewer ties whenever I find them when they're in a really interesting print. This was peak 70s, you know, it's a bright orange paisley tie. It was a long style tie, so 60 inches, which is technically 57 to 60 inches is like classic length. So it's normal average length. But when you get above 60, that's considered long for made for tall people. But I think at 60, only tall people are buying it. It's 100% silk, beautiful piece, sold for my full asking price of $14.87, and of course the buyer paid for shipping. This is another free to me item. Again, you know, I've said this a couple times in this video that I've gotten a lot of stuff for free. I do recommend telling people in your life what you do, or tell people who you meet in your life what you do. You'd be surprised at how generous people are. A lot of times when people are getting rid of stuff, they just want to get rid of it. And you'd be surprised what you can get for free. So this came from my Aunt Diane. Aunt Diane, thank you very much. This is a vintage Brighton crocodile wallet, and it's sold on offer for $15, and the buyer paid shipping. So I rarely find Brighton in my area, even though that there is a Brighton outlet store in Williamsburg. I think people that really like Brighton, and they hold on to it. So there's that. This is one of my favorite vintage brands to find, only because I have a lot of personal nostalgia feelings around this brand, and it's Delia's. I was one of those kids that when the Delia's magazine came in, I wanted literally everything in the magazine, but of course, you know, I couldn't buy any of it because I was a kid. So I have a lot of nostalgia feels whenever I find vintage Delia's, but this one's from the 90s. This is an oversized piece, so this would have been from like the early 90s, like the early to mid 90s. Sold for $20, and the buyer paid for shipping. I picked this up for Thriftmas, and it was a really great sale. So the last thing I just share with you is an international sale. This actually went to Japan, but the brand itself is a French brand. If you can find anything with the name of this brand, so it's Soleado, it's a French brand, and they're known for their linens as well as their scarves and their ties and their clothing accessories. If you can find like their linens, like their tablecloths that are in great shape, they can go for like, you know, $70 to $100. Some of their scarves can go for like well over $20. Anytime I see this, most of them are going to have it marked somewhere on the piece, and I pick it up whenever I find it. I pick these up for Thriftmas. I've had 2 of these. I still have one. I paid $3 a piece for the tie, and it sold again for $20. I'm more willing to take an offer, a lower offer for an item when I see it's international sale, because I know how much they're paying. Like, this person paid $60 to get this tie all the way to Japan. But I do exclusively sell through the global shipping program, and there have been instances where that has been very beneficial to both myself and the buyer by using the global shipping program. It costs more to the buyer, but overall I think the protections are worth it. So that is everything that sold for me the first week of April. Thank you very much for watching this. Again, every other video you're gonna see from me is going to be a what sold video until I get everything caught up. So hopefully you guys won't have too much fatigue from seeing my face. But I will see you guys hopefully again tomorrow. Until then, bye. Bye. Moxie just did a little stretch. She's like laying on her back, and she did like the cute little thing, and it was adorable. I wish I had like the ability, I wish I had a second camera just to maybe like pick up and randomly film the cute things she does here on the ground. I was talking about her, so she came back up here, but yeah, it was so cute.